Shalom, shalom. Today's lesson is inspired by Isaiah, the 8th chapter, verse 20. And even more, what brought me to wanting to bring this out is because before I even thought about doing these lessons, that I have lined up, I was seeing, if any one of the brothers that's in Great Millstone that be on TikTok, did they, drop a video or was they live in the morning? And I came across a brother that I know. I forgot his name, but a brother that I know, he was doing a live. And I clicked the live and I was hearing certain people, especially some that sound like they Hamites or just a jake around Hamites, trying to defend Hamites. But then this one person tried to explain 2 Kings, the 2nd chapter, 10 to 12, dealing with the chariots. And he believed that, the chariots can go in all different places outside this earth. But then he was saying, how can, if y'all think, if Israelites think they're going to get beamed up, how can they get beamed up if our bodies can't handle it? And I'm saying here, like, why ain't you bringing out precepts to back up to show nobody's going to leave the earth or whatever he was saying? But then you have brothers bringing out precepts to show him about an incorruptible body, the heavenly tabernacle, which this earthly tabernacle, which is this temple, this flesh is going to be changed. In Philippians chapter 2, verse 21, that our veiled bodies is going to be changed in Yahweh's glorious body. And he wanted people to speak their logic before they bring out precepts. And I'm like, wait, what? Right? If this brother's room is about the Bible, the things that pertain to the scriptures, why is we dealing with logic? Where did the Lord say, use your logic, use your own opinion before his own words? So this is another reason why, when we say line upon line, precept upon precept, because those things reveal, the spiritual depth of the scriptures, the connection to Yahushai, and how it exposes false doctrine and deception, especially in these times that we're in right now. So I want to give all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai for allowing me to come across that live, to be able to influence me to do a lesson on this verse that, we all use fluently. So again, I want to give all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rakakwadash, and double honors to the elder apostles and the elders of Great Millstone who rule well and teach well through the Spirit. And a mighty shalom to the hopeful elect in the same Spirit, Lord willing as a whole, that y'all continue in sound doctrine. Shalom to the Akwaf, the sisters of this faith. Lord willing, you continue to pursue your lot, which is being a loving and silent and virtuous wife. And Lord willing, Yahweh Shema Shai has mercy on the other brothers and sisters that is not in the faith. Before we hop into Isaiah 8 and 20, I want to read 1 John chapter 2, verse 20 and 21. It says, but ye have an unction from the Holy One, and ye know all things. Right? Through Yahweh, which sends the Rakah Kodash in the name of Yahweh Shai, we're going to know all things. St. John 14, verse 26, that comforter, right, the spirit of truth, the spirit of wisdom, the Rakah Kodash is going to teach us all things or bring all things into remembrance. Romans 15:4, the things that were written aforetime was written for your learning. We're all the way in 2025 AD. So the things in the time of Yahushai, the things before Yahushai, all the way going to Adam, was written for our learning, right? So we supposed to be learning what's going on in these scriptures. Verse 21, I have not written unto you because ye know not the truth, but because ye know it, in that no lies of the truth. So even more, how can we know the truth if I'm, the believers just start waking up now? The truth only been out here for 50 years. But then when brothers bring out reincarnation, aside from the apostles on down, even myself, bring out reincarnation, regeneration, we believe that we played a role again, under the sun in our past life, before that, in our past life before that. So this same truth always been going out from all the way to the time of Adam to the time of Yahushai. Ever since Yahushai gave up his life, we're in that time of the Ruach HaKodesh, dwelling first in the middle of the Lord, that are the sheep in the pasture and the flock of Yahweh Shema Shai, to stand boldly in the midst of their brother and sisters, of even though they might look like other nations, and edify the nation, edify the sheep, which is really the elect. Okay? So verse 21, I have not written unto you because ye know not the truth, but because ye know it, and that no lie is of the truth. So if I'm standing at is no lie of the truth, right, I have to bring forth 100% truth on every point. And if I don't know this and that, I supposed to be being like the people of Berea, having a readiness mind to hear the word, and then study the scriptures daily to see if it was so. The same precepts brothers brought out, right? And go read them, dissect them, and even pray that Yahweh Shema Shai gives me the sense, right? So let's go to Isaiah in the Old Testament, chapter 8, and we can start at 19, I believe. This is Isaiah 8 and 19. Salaki, Isaiah 8 and 20. I'm reading the KJV and the NLT. It says, to the law and to the testimony, if they speak not according to this word, it is because there is no light in them. In the NLT, look to the Most High's instructions and teachings. People who contradict his word are completely in the dark. Now, when you go to 2 Peter chapter 1, verse 19 to 21, it tells you that these scriptures did not come in any private interpretation or by the will of men, right? These scriptures came by them being moved through the Ruach HaKodesh of the Most High. So even more, we're dabbling into scriptures that is spiritual, right? Spiritual as in the men were moved through the Ruach HaKodesh. Let alone we understand in Timothy, the 3rd chapter, that these scriptures is inspiration from Yahweh Shem Yahushai, right? To correct us, reprove us, give us doctrine, lift us up, and give us exhortation, right? So, no light in them, the true measure of the word, how the law and the testimony exposes darkness in these days or in these times, actually through all ages, if we were understanding the scriptures, right? So, understanding the foundation, that is Yahushai. Let me just get something real quick in Luke, the 6th chapter. For any one of us to teach anything, it always has to stem from the foundation. So this is Luke. This is Luke chapter 6, verse 46. And why call ye me Lord, Lord, and do not the things which I say? Whosoever cometh to me and heareth my sayings and doeth them, I will show you to whom he is like. He is like a man which built an house and digged deep and laid the foundation on a rock. And when the flood arose, the stream beat vehemently upon that house and could not shake it, for it was founded upon a rock. But he that heareth and doeth not is like a man that without a foundation built a house upon the earth, against which the stream did beat vehemently, and immediately it fell, and that ruin of that house was great. Symbolic to the 3 little piggies, or we can say 3 little lammies, right? That rock is Yahushai. But in this faith, we understand, that even points to David, right? But even David right, was raising up, and putting order in the kingdom when he was ruling. That's why when we understand in Amos 9, the Lord is going to raise up the tabernacles of David, where we're going to be in order. But in this time, we're never, ever, 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 ever going to sin, right? So when we go back to Isaiah 8 and 20, let me just put it on the screen before I say what I'm going to say. Isaiah 8 and 20. Isaiah is warning Israel that many voices, prophets, teachers, and leaders will claim to speak for the Most High. But the true test of whether someone is of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai is simple. They must speak according to the law, the first 5 books, and the testimony, the prophetic witness, which lines up with Yahushai's spirit. Let me get this in Revelations. This Revelations chapter 19, verse 10 in the KJV. And I fell at his feet to worship him. And he said unto me, see thou do it not. Salaki, I am thy fellow servant and of thy brethren that have the testimony of Yahushai, worship the Most High, for the testimony of Yahushai is the spirit of prophecy. Now, a sidebar, the brother Jeremiah was asking me a question on this particular verse when he said, like, what do you get? Like, of course, it's not a hard question. It's not even deep. But when you read this, what do you think of? And the first things I thought of when it says for the testimony of Yahushai, I thought about everything that points to Yahushai, right? When we look at the perfect sacrifice, Abel, right? Isaac being that offering, Melchizedek, the tabernacle, the high priest going past the veil, the stone that gave him water. It's multiple things. Solomon praying to the Lord for that understanding, that spirit of understanding and wisdom to judge the nation of Israel. And he had wisdom that nobody had, right? And when we understand Yahushai, he fully had wisdom because through reincarnation, Yahushai was Solomon. Solomon was Yahushai. That's how I look at the testimonies. Is the spirit of prophecy, because all those things, right, that are symbolic to Yahushai, he did, and he was the reflection of that when he was on the earth. Then when he went to the Father, it was a full effect, really being the high priest. When he went past that veil to the Father, his blood were covered by the blood until he got on the cross. What was prophesied before times, it came to pass, right? His knees wasn't going to be broke. He was going to have a betrayal of kiss by Judas Iscariot, And it's other things that point to Yahushai where all people are going to see him and they all going to bow. We haven't seen that yet, So it's multiple ways to look at it. But when you understand Isaiah 8 and 20, we would have to go in the scriptures to prove Yahushai is Isaac, right? But just one simple, right? You understand Yahushai created the principalities, the powers on the left and the right. But even Yahushai in the physical as a father brought forth a wicked seed and a righteous seed, Esau and Jacob. That is amazing, right? When you think about it, right? So let's go to Deuteronomy. Verse 1 to 3. It says, if there arise among you a prophet or a dreamer of dreams, and giveth thee a sign or a wonder, and the sign or the wonder come to pass, wherefore he spake unto thee, saying, let us go after other gods which thou hast not known. Let us serve them, right? So even miracles or charisma don't prove truth, right? Only consistency with the word of Yahweh Shem Shai does, right? You have to be consistent with the words of Yahweh Shem Shai. Go into the New Testament, St. John chapter 5, verse 31. This is what it reads. For the Father loveth the Son, and showeth him all things that himself doeth. He will show him greater works than these, that they may be marveled or be amazed. Right? So the testimony is Yahushua himself, the living word. If one's doctrine doesn't line up with him, there is no light in him. You're empty. You're like Matthew 25. Okay. So now, let's even go to Proverbs 6. Because to have no light means being a void of understanding, wisdom, and the Rakak Wadash. In another sense, light goes into truth, darkness, right? Which darkness goes into lies, confusion, and darkness, right? You don't want to bump your head on contradicting the Lord and oh, no, I believe. No, you want to fully be dedicated to Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai till death does its part. This is Proverbs chapter 6. Proverbs chapter 6, verse 23. For the commandment is a lamp, and the law is light, and reproofs of instruction are the way of life. So the law is the light. Rejecting it leaves people walking in darkness, in confusion, in sin. Where I want to go. Salaki, I started thinking about something else, but I had to think about the verse. But let's get this. This is St. John chapter 19. St. John. I'm too excited. I'm thinking about the verse. Salaki. St. John chapter 3. Verse 19 to 20. And this is the condemnation, that light is come into the world, and men love darkness rather than light, because their deeds were evil. For everyone that doeth evil hateth the light, neither cometh to the light, lest this deed should be reproved, be corrected. Now, before we give even more sense to that, this is 1 John chapter 4, starting at verse 4. Ye are of the Most High, little children, and have overcome them, because greater is he that is in you than he that is in the world. They are of the world, therefore speak they of the world, and the world heareth them. We are of the Most High. He that knoweth the Most High knoweth us, and he that is not of the Most High heareth not us. Hereby know we the spirit of truth and the spirit of error. So are you in the spirit of truth or in the spirit of error? Right? The spirit of error is going to contradict this thing. The spirit of error is going to mock it. Right? You're supposed to grow in this thing, put time in it, right? And then if you still don't see it, then move on. Go find your belief. Hey, go make videos on it. Right? But we supposed to study to show ourselves approved so we can rightly understand. It's a privilege. Right? That was beautiful. So now, when we understand what we just read in St. John 3 and 19 and 20, many reject Yahushua, which is the light, because his truth exposes their evil deeds. But the apostle, the other believers, they were considered a light. Gotta be beneficial, right? In the spirit when you come. Because look, when you teaching this word, you have to have the sheep on your mind. Somebody can be listening. And you want to rightly divide this word of truth. Right? If you showing that this is fake and that's not fake, or this and that, and you never even studied, somebody asked you, did you read the whole chapter? No, I didn't. Some sheep that's not fed well would agree, you know. But this is Baruch chapter 4, verse 1 and 2. This is the book of the commandments of the Most High and the law that endure forever. All they that keep it shall come to life, which is Yahushai, because he is life. But such as leave it shall die. Turn thee, O Jacob, and take hold of it. Walk in the presence of the light thereof, that thou mayest be illuminated even more. Matthew 18 and 20. If two or three are gathered in my name, I am there in the midst. To be illuminated is to be able to understand the truth. How much more if the Lord is with us, if we in his name and we study and we speaking about the word, right? We might end up doing a lesson, right? You want to be in the right spirit so Yahweh Shem Shai can move you to do his will, not to be in the spirit of error, right? So life equals life, death equals darkness. Departing from the word is spiritual death, just like what we read in verse 1. So if you remove yourself from these laws, from the ways of Yahweh Shem Yahushai, like literally, but such as leave it shall die. This walk is something serious. This is not no joke, right? It's either you in this or you're not. Because Isaiah was prophesying also points directly to Yahushai, the word made flesh, who is both the law fulfilled and the testimony manifested. Manifest, going to reveal. If we can, let's get Revelations, the 19th chapter, which we already read. But let's read it one more time. Revelation chapter 19, verse 10. And I fell at his feet to worship him. And he said unto me, see thou do it not. I am thy fellow servant and of thy brethren that have the testimony of Yahushai. Worship the Most High, for the testimony of Yahushai is the spirit of prophecy. So true testimony equals prophecy that glorifies Yahushai and aligns with his Father's word. So even when you're going into the old stuff and you point, oh, Yahushai here, or Yahushai there, what is that doing? This is all bringing us back to Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai. So now, Salaki family, I gotta think on where I'm gonna go next. Matthew, the 5th chapter. Matthew chapter 5, verse 17. It says, think not that I am come to destroy the law or the prophets. I am not come to destroy, but to fulfill. Right? The law and the testimony meet perfectly in Yahushai. He embodies the light of both. Right? And till John came into play, right? Because before John, it was the law. But now, when John came into play, it was about the kingdom, which was really pointing to Yahushai, who Moses and the prophets spoke about, man. Let's go to, back in the Old Testament, let's go to Psalms chapter 40, verse 7 to 8. It says, then said I, lo, I come. In the volume of the book, it is written of me, I delight to do thy will, O my power. Yeah, thy law is within my heart. The same in Hebrews, the 10th chapter. This is speaking about Yahushai. He comes in the volume of the book. Every part of scripture testifies of Yahushai. That's how you measure truth, right? The Lord surrounded this truth around Yahushai. A big circle. And what do they use on the recycling bins? That circle sound, that circle, I said sound, that circle symbol of recycling, right? Your spirits is just recycling the same role over again. Hey, if you are in the spirit of truth, you're recycling back to Yahushai, Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai. If you're in the spirit of error, spirit of wickedness, you're recycling back to those that are not called, right? You are numbered with those of Judas, who's going to get that condemnation, the anger of Yahweh Hashem Shai on the earth. So when we go back to Isaiah 8 and 20, Isaiah's warning applies directly to false teachers, religious leaders today, especially in Babylon, America. That's why I said today, but really 4 corners of the earth. Don't just think only America, 4 corners of the earth, because Jake is scattered abroad. They speak not according to the word. They twist scriptures and teach rebellion against Yahweh's law. Right? Where is the verse where the Lord is telling you, right, don't do the things that please me, which he gave those laws to Moses for us to, thou shalt do and what thou shalt not do. If you fear the Lord, you're going to continue in the things that thou shalt do and remove yourself from the appearance of evil by following his commands on what thou shalt not do or what thou shalt not eat, right? So Jeremiah 23, verse 16. Thus saith Yahweh of hosts, hearken not unto the words of the prophets that prophesy unto you. They make you vain. They speak a vision of their own heart and not out of the mouth of Yahweh. Right? This is why you want to learn this word by men that are being possessed by Yahweh, by Hashem Yahushai. So man's doctrine leads to confusion. Only Yahweh's doctrine brings light. Let's see. And Yahweh's doctrine brings affliction or persecution to the ministry. Let's get Acts, the 5th chapter, and let's just get straight to the point, right? When the apostles were still teaching the name of Yahushua. Verse 25, it says, Then came one and told them, saying, Behold, the men whom ye put in prison are standing in the temple and teaching the people. Then went the captain with the officers and brought them without violence, for they feared the people, lest they should have been stoned. And when they had brought them, they set them before the council, and the high priest asked them, saying, Did not we straitly command you that ye should not teach in his name? And behold, he have and behold, ye have fulfilled Jerusalem with your doctrine, and intend to bring this man's blood upon us. Because everything that they were speaking about Yahweh Shai in the beginning of time, let alone his name, it was a doctrine. And so when you start speaking of the Heavenly Father and the Son, when you start speaking about the Bible, this is a doctrine. You got to take this serious. You know, let me get this side precept. This is James 3:1 in the NLT. Dear brothers and sisters, not many of you should become teachers in the church, for we who teach will be judged more strictly. Strictly, Salaki. You'll be judged more strictly, Salaki. Another excitement, right? I'm the only reason why I'm excited is because I seen what the Lord was doing with me and my brothers, from the Chosen Few to HOI. You know, this is not to bash or anything. This is just the Lord was trying to make sure that we was lined up with sound doctrine, that we wasn't coming in this thing with a party spirit for every high holy day. Talking about, oh, let's have marriage counsel. And you can't even master your own household, which is a total problem, right? And then everybody's just watching everybody else. That even contradict what Paul said. Let there be no division among you. And if we're a true brotherhood, we're all agreeing in the same understanding. If we not, we're going to bring it to the table so that we can peel some of the onion off, so that we all can understand. But in most cases, right, brothers would try to stem away, right, from things, especially when getting in the truth, you stem away from things that's not of the light of Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. You got to shine your light, but you try to stem away because we know what it says in Matthew. There's going to be people that are set up to try to deceive the very elect. You know, They won't accomplish, but they're going to try because they were set up to do those things, right? So let's go to 2 Corinthians chapter 11, verse 13. It says, "For such are false apostles, deceitful workers, transforming themselves into the apostles of Hamashiach. And no marvel, for Satan himself is transformed into an angel," right? A representative, a messenger of light. Therefore, it is no great thing if his ministers also be transformed as the ministers of righteousness. Let me read that again, but let me read it in NLT. It says, "So it is no wonder that his servants also disguise themselves as servants of righteousness. In the end, they will get the punishment their wicked deeds deserve." When you even go out to believe in Zechariah the 13th chapter NLT, it shows you some people are going to take off their prophetic garments. Family members are going to pursue them. Other people are going to pursue them, and they're going to say, "I'm a farmer." Imagine what people are going to do on this side who is falsely prophesying, right? So many appear righteous outwardly. If you watch the Judas lesson that I did the other day, Judas was in this ministry outwardly, but not inwardly, right? For Satan himself is transformed into an angel of light, that we see in 2 Corinthians, the 11th chapter. But their light is counterfeit. True light comes from the spirit of truth. Now, I got to get this because now it just made me think of it. I think it's this chapter. Yes. 2 Corinthians chapter 3, verse 13. "But evil men and seducers shall wax worse and worse, deceiving and being deceived." Now, if we go to the word seducers, it's going to say imposters. Right? Let me just get it. Let me see where this word at. G 1114.
Strong's G 1114. Guys. Guys.
So the outline of the biblical usage, I want to just get the point right here. A deceiver and an imposter. When you go into Strong's definition down here, a wizard and an imposter, right? And that's what some of these so-called men that call themselves prophets, but they're really imposters, right? They're in the spirit of error, right? The true prophets are in the spirit of truth. Let's go back to my other Bible app and let's go to the Apocrypha. 2 Ezra chapter 15, verse 3 to 4. "Fear not the imaginations against thee. Let not the cruelty of them trouble thee that speak against thee. For all the unfaithful shall die in their unfaithfulness." Now, when the Lord said Moses was faithful in all his house, that word faithful goes back to being a supporter of the door, right? So those who reject the true word will perish when judgment comes, right? That even goes with First Peter chapter 4, the 17th chapter, right? Because judgment is going to happen first at the house of the Most High, and it's going to even hit those that don't obey the gospel, right? So now, let's go back to this app, and let's go to Isaiah 60. Do I really want that one first? Yeah, I might as well. This is Isaiah. It's crazy when you thinking about a precept, another one come in your mind. This is Isaiah chapter 60 and verse 1 and 2. Arise, shine, for thy light is come, and the glory of Yahweh is risen upon thee. For behold, the darkness shall cover the earth, and gross darkness the people. But Yahweh shall arise upon thee, and his glory shall be seen upon thee. Right? Just like Bruce Leroy, right? The elect shine because Yahweh shines light is in them. Right? The elect is the light of the world after Yahweh shine. Right? So in the midst of darkness, the elect will hold fast to the word, the law, and the testimony. And Yahweh Shai will guide them through. Second Ezra, the 7th chapter. Right? This narrow path is a hard path. Danger on both sides that only one person can enter. So when you come in this thing and you notify that you is, this is a privilege. This is an honor because the Lord didn't have to. Right, let's go back to the Apocrypha and let's get Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 7, verse 26. For she is the brightness of the everlasting light, the unspotted mirror of the power of the Most High, and the image of his goodness, man. So true wisdom, the spirit of Yahweh Shai, is pure light that dwells in the righteous. When was Yahweh Shai considered wisdom? 1 Corinthians chapter 1, verse 24. Hamashiach is the wisdom and the power of the Most High. And through the spirit, when you get that Rakak Wadash, right, you're moved through that wisdom. Because in Wisdom of Solomon 7 and 8, wisdom will not enter into a defiled soul. So the little you got that pertain to this ministry is something to look for, you know, being occupied in this Lord's ministry, because not a lot of people are in that good case of luck, if we would say, in the world, but it's a lot of people that are not in the hands of the Lord on the right hand side, and they don't even know, right? So let's get Matthew. Let's go back to the New Testament. This is Matthew chapter 5. So this is Matthew chapter 5, verse 14 and 16. Ye are the light of the world. A city that is set on a hill cannot be hid. We cannot be hid. Those that are elect, those that are true believers, you can't be hid, especially you men, right? So, you might be doing something and you got free time to do a lesson. That spirit is going to smack you and make you do a lesson, man. It says, neither do men light a candle and put it under a bushel, but on a candlestick, and it giveth light unto all that are in the house. This is why the men of the Lord are able to be eloquent with that wisdom, because that's what that spirit of truth does. It makes the dumb eloquent. Not for our own benefit, yes, in a spiritual sense, right, to grow in faith, right? Verse 16, let your light so shine before men that they may see your good works and glorify your Father which is in heaven, right? That right there just hit, man. Let your light so shine before men. This is why you men that have the ability to teach, you're supposed to shine your light by delivering this word, right? It's not, let me just be in the world, no. What do you think these men that have been in this thing for 40, 30, 35, 25, 20, 15, what you think they've been doing, right? They've been bringing that presence of Yahweh Shai wherever they go, regardless if people is asking to hear it, right? People is bearing that light. They're seeing it, right? They might not see the light, but they see you. They, man, that brother, I remember that brother, he be teaching downtown. So the elect becomes vessels of the same light through obedience and faith. This is another reason why if I'm calling myself a prophet or a teacher, I want to have obedience. It always back to the law and to the testimony, to the prophecies, to the parables, to the dark saying, to the doctrine of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai, right? And through the Spirit, Lord willing, Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai allow me to be ready to give a man an answer. So going back to Isaiah 8 and 20, it says, to the law and to the testimony, if they speak not according to this word, it is because there is no light in them, right? There's no light in them. So teaching that everything in teaching, Salaki, with this verse alone, to the law and to the testimony, it teach that everything, prophecy, revelation, which means reveal, must be judged by the word of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai. If it does not align with the law and the testimony of Yahushai, right? Because I quoted them early off of the conversation me and Yarmayan had, right? It's false and darkness. If you don't believe Yahushai had multiple roles in this thing, being Solomon, right? Isaac, we're all under the Melchizedek order, right? Which really, that was stemmed to the Levites, was all pointing to Yahushai. When we deal with the high priest, Yahushai is the high priest, right? When it goes off of, I created good and evil, Yahushai literally on this side was the father of the wicked one and the father of the sons of God through Jacob. Yahushai is Adam. You got to truly believe in these things because the scriptures point us to Yahushai. Let me get a precept real quick. St. John chapter 5, verse 39. I'll read it in the NLT because it's, straight to the point. It says, you search the scriptures because you think they give you eternal life, but the scriptures point you to me. Right? First Thessalonians 5 and 21, prove all things and hold fast to which is good. Right? So we're proving all things with the scriptures that, we don't want to contradict the words of the Lord from the Torah all the way to Revelations. Hebrews 4 and 12, for the word of the Most High is quick and powerful, sharper than any two-edged sword. Right? So to the law and to the testimony, that is the measure of truth. If it's not according to this word, there's no light in them. The true servants of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai walk in that light. They will not be deceived in these dark last days. So Lord willing, we learn something from that, right? That we should really be taking this more serious, right? And some of y'all that like scoffing and debating, you have to really understand the actual doctrine, right? Because if I'm just using this real quick, say if somebody, some like me, that have this understanding and you come across them and you want to, that's not, this is that. Oh, wait, God loves everybody. And if somebody flips it and they come and they try to ask a question like they don't know nothing, you're supposed to know these things if you're pushing God loves everybody, right? You really should be finding out what brothers, what their actual doctrine is, because it's not just salvation for Israel. Hey, you got to even get the understanding of reincarnation, right? You got to understand about the 10 virgins. You got to understand Matthew 25. You got to understand about the tears. You got to understand about the vine. You got to understand about Ezekiel 38. We got to understand about the real covenant, the oath, and the everlasting covenant. We have to think about these things, even when they say, you got to be a Jew inwardly, not one outwardly. Does this mean that you can be of another nation and be a spiritual Israelite? Now, the real Israelites are the real spiritual Israelites because they're being connected to Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai, let alone they are a descendant, a real seed, right? But we understand when we go back to 1 John 4 and 6 that the Lord created spirits to be in the spirit of darkness. So Lord, when this edifying, I'm going to give all praises, glory, and honor to the one true power, Yahweh Ba'Shem Al Shai Ba'Shem Rakakwadash. Double honors to the elder apostles and the elders of Great Millstone who rule well and teach well through the Spirit. And Lord willing, through the mighty power and spirit of Yahweh Ba'Shem Al Shai, that the hopeful elect that are scattered four corners of the earth, and that all, continue to teach sound doctrine in the same spirit. And shalom to the Akwaf, the sisters of this faith. Lord willing that you continue to pursue your lot, being a loving and silent and virtuous wife. And Lord willing, Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai has mercy on other brothers and sisters that's not in the faith. With that, shalom, shalom, above all.